Good afternoon, all. Welcome to CTHIRES registration. I am Danielle. I'm going to walk you through how to create a CTHIRES registration in the Connecticut HIRES system. So if you take a look at our first page here, you can see a few other options, okay? If I created a current registration and I forgot my name and password, I want to click on this icon here to reset my name and password. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to create new registration. So how do I reach this page? You go to www.cthires.com and you will end up on this page right before you on the State of Connecticut CTHIRES page. So I'm going to now hit not registered. So after I hit not registered, you're going to see above here again, if you currently have already created registration and you need to reset your username and password, you could set it right there at the top. Okay, so now on this page, we have three options that are available to us today. Option one, I'm already registered. I forgot my name and password. I'm going to reset. The second option is to try out our services. If you'd like to view CTHIRES as a visitor to see what services are available, please click right here, right? You get guest access in English as well as in Spanish. Then the third option, which is for the purpose of the video this afternoon, is to create a user account. Okay, if you would like to become fully registered, a fully registered user with CTHIRES and have access to all our online services, select one of the following account types, okay? And then they give you information on why you should register for CTHIRES. So if you're curious to know why you should register beforehand, please take a look at that information and it'll explain to you the reasons for the registration. So for today's purposes, I'm going to be clicking individual. And it takes about 15 minutes to complete registration in CTHIRES. Then they also have a column for employers and agents, as well as providers. So for the purposes of today's video, as an individual, I'm searching for services through CTHIRES. I may want to apply for the WIOA grant. So let me click it. All right, on this page, as you can see, it's individual registration types. There are two different types. One is a comprehensive registration. You select this option to complete a comprehensive registration process that results in full access to all the features available in the CTHIRES system. Or you can click on register with the resume. Select this option to use an existing resume document that you will upload into the system to pre-fill progressive registration process, which will allow access to some of the features in the system. So for the purposes of today's video is to walk you through the CTHIRES registration. So I'm going to click comprehensive registration. All right, here we go. At the very top of the page, you'll see here in red, please do not use any personal identification information as your username, social security number, etc. You'll need to you got to create a username and you have to create a password. And you don't want to share it with anyone because this is your own personal access into the system and what it has to offer. So username would be entered first. Enter username 8 to 20 characters and must include characters, letters, and numbers. And these are the allowable characters that you can use. So I know folks get a little, you get caught up on that area because it's difficult to keep playing around with the letters and the numbers. So you try to follow the instructions out the gate. So what I'm going to do for the purposes of this video, I have one of my own. So that's going to be my username, just for the purposes of this video. And then the password, also for the purposes of this video, if you take a look, as I'm creating the password, the system is going to let me know if I created a strong password or if it's a little weak. It may let you know that the password that you selected was kind of, a little weak and that you should take a chance at creating a better password that is in line with the characters that was suggested here in order to how to create a password. And as you can see, as I did it, it looks like a pretty strong password now. So All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna retype the same password again. And you gotta be careful that you select the very same numbers and letters that you created the password with, because the system is very sensitive and it'll reject the password if it's not correctly entered. Okay, so it looks like I chose a very strong username, a very strong password. The system is satisfied. So my next step is a security question. Let's see. I'm gonna choose, what is your favorite pastime? And I'm gonna choose something that may not even make sense, but it'll definitely help me with creating a system. Okay, all right. So after you create your username, your password, your security question, you want to write them all down someplace close to you, so that life goes on and we may forget. So you want to make sure that you can be able to get back into your login information. All right, Social Security number. When you get to this screen, you can make your decision one way or the other. You can enter your Social Security number now, or you can click, I do not wish to provide my Social Security number. It's perfectly fine if you choose not to provide your Social Security number in advance. If you put it in there, it's perfectly fine. It's secured. It's a secured site. But if you are seeking out the WIOA grant, and the next video after this video is the pre-application. So when you click into the pre-application, there are a few documents that you have to upload to the eligibility specialist so they can determine your eligibility, and your Social Security card is one of those. So you can choose to answer this later, or if you feel comfortable, you can enter it. But for the purposes of this video, I'm just gonna click, I do not wish to provide my social. The system has accepted that. So the next thing I'm gonna do now is scroll down to primary location and information. All right, so the country is the United States. The zip code, I'm gonna just put in the local zip code. And are you authorized to work in the United States? So you wanna check yes or no. And if there's a reason why you're not authorized to work, that's something that you're gonna have a conversation with the eligibility specialist about. Then they're gonna ask you for an email address. So I am going to put in a email address. Has to be a valid email address. Mine is being created for the purposes of the video, naturally. And then you want to confirm the email address. Okay. And then we're going to scroll down. Make sure that you click outside the bar when you're finished entering all the information, because sometimes the system, it'll take it and whatever's prompted there, it'll grab it. So it's not absolutely necessary to enter a second email address, but if you have one available, why not? I would enter it in. Then the next section is demographic information. All right, so you want to click the box. You can enter it yourself. You want to make sure that you put the month, the date, and the year. Or this little box is so convenient. I like this little box. So it's like, let's pick a year. Let's make me super young. So I'm gonna add in a year so you could see. And then the system is gonna ask, am I a female or a male? So I'm gonna do both so you can understand what I'm doing here. All right, so CTHIRES has ran back the clock. I'm now 35. So as a 35-year-old female, I don't have to answer any questions about selective services. However, if you are a male, now you're gonna see a drop down after I switch over to male. It's asking, if you're registered with selective services, then great, you check yes, and you move on. If you're not registered with selective services, there's gonna probably be additional documentation that's needed to determine whether or not you will be eligible for the WIOA program. That's only specifically for the WIOA program. and probably depending on what programs that you're looking to get into, because this is CTI registration. Some individuals will be here to work with Department of Labor. Some will be here to work with the Business Services Unit. You may be working with the workplace at a number of different programs. Every program have its own eligibility requirement. But if you are registered with Selective Services, you click in as a male that I registered. There is also a Selective Services website at the bottom where you can go learn more about it. If you're not sure, if you're registered with Selective Services, you can research it on your own and you can print out those documents. So if you are looking to get the WIOA grant, you can easily upload those documents to the system when you do your pre-application, which will be the next video. So I'm gonna go back to female. Okay, and I'm done with that section. So I'm gonna scroll a little further. At the bottom, it said the field below is case sensitive. So that means that this information right here, you got to type it in exactly the way it's listed above. So it's like it's all capitals. Whoa, there's a number. And you type the code and you head on to the next step. If there's no issues with the registration, it's going to move straight over to the next step, which it did for me. If there is an issue with registration, it might be maybe you misspelled your email address or something. The system deemed that they needed answered. So you just go back and you make the corrections. Usually you're to scroll up to the top and it'll give you all the information in red, which you missed. But in this case, it didn't miss anyone. So we're going to put, a simple name. And then you're just gonna hit next. You're gonna put your name and hit next. I found the name. So, okay. Then you're gonna put the address, the residential address. If you're homeless, you wanna check that you are. If you're not, if you are homeless and you need assistance, we have individuals on staff that can assist you with that as well. For the purposes of video, no. And then the next one would be the address, and we're gonna put in a familiar address. Just to walk you through the system. And the zip code, state of Connecticut, and of course it's in the United States. Now, if you want to utilize the residential address above, you just click use residential address and the system is going to prompt itself to pull the information down. And then the information is there. Then you just hit next. Okay, now the system is asking for a telephone number. And then it's going to ask you what type of number is that. So I'm going to put work. And then it's going to ask for an alternate number. It's always good to have an alternate number so we'll be able to contact you and stay in contact with you through the entire process if you are searching for WIOA. And if you're not doing the WIOA grant, then just to remain in contact with you, depending on what department and what services you're receiving, you want to be able to get your mail. That's why it's important to have a mailing address, an alternate mailing address. So you want to make sure that all that information is there. But remember, this is your CTHIRE registration, so you can always go back and correct things as long as you have access to your system. Now, the next step is preferred notification method. My case managers, I encourage them to email customers as well as call them. So with the alternate number, your primary number, and your email address, if you're a true email user, you want to do that. If not, you want to leave a telephone number. You pick from the drop down what you think would be the best mode of receiving emails and contact, because remember, once we do that, we're going to be reaching out to you using those methods. So give it some thought as to what you want to do. You can always update the system later. Site access. From where are you accessing this website? It gives you a whole list of it. It's from home. Is it from your work, a library, the American Job Center itself? That would be the norm. We miss everyone and we hope to see you all soon. And how did you hear about the website? It can be from a friend, a brochure in the community, a career fair, some business colleagues. We want to get an idea of how you're hearing about our programming so we can become more efficient on our delivery. So I'm going to pick the American Job Center. Then you hit next. All right, citizenship. It's going to definitely ask you, are you a U.S. citizen? Do you have a permit? Are you a permanent resident, alien or refugee, or lawfully admitted to the United States? None of the above. You want to click. But if you are pursuing the WIOA grant, you're going to make sure that you provide the eligibility specialist with that information. So I'm going to click citizen. And then here, disability. Providing this information is optional, and a refusal to provide disability information will not subject you to any adverse treatment. The information is used for us to determine services that may be rendered for you. So if I was to click, yes, I have a disability, the system would let me know what additional services that's available to me. And I'm gonna click no, or if you do not wish to answer, that's perfectly okay as well. Maybe you'll have that conversation with the eligibility specialist or your training provider to find out where you may need an accommodation, but it is not necessary to disclose. Okay, education information. If you have a high school diploma or high school equivalent degree, please select the appropriate value of high school diploma or high school equivalency diploma. Okay, you got to know the difference. If you have a high school diploma, you graduated from high school equivalency could be your GED. You got 1 year of college, 1 year of training and technical school, 2 years of college and plus. You scroll from the list and you pick what best suits you. All right, are you attending school at this moment? You check yes, no. Okay, I put not attending. So when I click next, it's going to come into employment information. Am I employed? Not working at this time. That's what I'm going to select. Type of business worked in, I'll say nonprofit. Hey, because that's what I am, right? So unemployment eligibility status. If you were receiving unemployment, we need to be able to share that information so we can gain the assistance of the Department of Labor to have you certified underneath dislocated worker. So when you speak with the eligibility specialist, they're the specialists, they're the experts in this area. They'll have a conversation with you about the dislocated worker package if needed. So if you never filed unemployment and you're not receiving unemployment benefits, you just click need to claim it, no exhausting. It's a fancy way of saying, you never applied, you never was an exhaustee. It's perfectly fine. Are you currently looking for work? Yes. I'd click yes. Within the last 12 months, have you received any notice of termination or layoff from your job, or received documentation that you're separating from military services? In this case, I'm gonna check no, but if you did, you wanna share that. Okay, farm worker information. The following questions do not pertain to work performed on a family farm, ranch, beekeeping, food processing, or food manufacturing operations owned by yourself or close relative. So it's a simple question. Have you ever worked as a farmer in the last 12 months? You want to check yes or no. And then you hit next. All right, please enter a job title. As you're entering the job title, you may see a list of common job titles similar to what you're entering. If you see a job title in the list, select it. So I'm gonna put something like nurse. And then you're gonna see below a whole list of jobs. So I'll take nurse administrator. Your desired job and occupational title can be changed at any time after registration. So it's like, we're just asking you to fantasize in this moment for registration so that you give an idea of what you think you want to do. Job occupation. Please select the occupation that best matches your job title. You may either select from a suggested occupation or drop-down list, which is populated based on the job title above, or you can search for an occupation using the search link. So let's see. Medical and health services manager. So that all comes from my use of nurse administrator. So take a look at them, and they all pull into our Bright Outlook, which is a service that lets us know what jobs are in demands. And it's kind of helpful for our customers to get an idea based on the skill sets that you have, what jobs can you be qualified for and what additional education you may need to fulfill those job requirements. So right after that, you click next. All right, ethnic and origin. Are you Hispanic or Latino? Yes or no. I'm gonna put no. Or I do not wish to answer. It's basically a question around the demographics of who we're providing service to. If you wish not to answer it, of course, you do not have to answer any of these questions. Also under race, you do not have to answer the questions if you choose not to. And they have the choices there for African American or Black, American Indian, Alaskan Native, Asian, Hawaiian, other Pacific Islander, white. You do not answer. You do not have to answer if you choose not to. All right, around language. Do you have limited proficiency in speaking, writing, or reading, or understanding English? Yes or no? If you do, there's assistive services that can aid you in learning the language. We have ESL courses. So once you get to know us, this is just a sort of get to know you type page. So the more information that you provide us, it helps our staff get a better understanding as to how we can better service you. And then I hit next. Okay, military service. Veterans and their spouses may be entitled to state and federal benefits. Please answer the following questions. So, are you currently in military or a veteran or your spouse? I'm going to click no, but if you are, you want to check yes, because we also have veterans programs available. Are you a caregiver who is a spouse or family member of the armed forces who is wounded, ill, or injured and receiving treatment in the military facility or warrior transition unit? I'm going to click no, but if it applies to you, you want to share that information. All of these would be no for the purposes of this video, but read through them. And then I'm going to hit next. All right, public assistance. Provide answers to the following questions if they apply within the last 6 months or so. So if I am searching for the WIOA grant and I'd like to go to training, or I want to learn more about what services are being offered, and they're going to do eligibility with me. If I'm receiving cash assistance, has your household received temporary assistance for needy families? It's called TANF payments. I've had customers tell me all the time, you guys say things like TANF. Why do you say that and this and that? What does it mean? It basically means that if you're receiving cash assistance, and then if you're receiving the supplementary program here at the bottom, it's called SNAP. Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, that's your food stamps. So if you're receiving that, you want to click yes. And because we're creating a new process under pre-application, and we're uploading the documents because we're not seeing the public at this time, but we can get these documents uploaded. If you're receiving cash assistance or you're receiving food stamps, then we can access your information from the Department of Social Services. So that would be one portion of the upload that you wouldn't have to worry about doing, but you're going to learn about that also in the pre-application video that will follow the CTHIRE registration video. So for purposes of this video, let's see what's going to happen. I'm going to put no for TANF, but I'm going to put yes for SNAP. Have you ever received any general assistance payments? Click no. And we're going to continue to scroll down. Any refugee cash assistance payment? That's yes and no. For the purposes of this video, I'm determining eligibility so you can see what it looks like. So have you ever been supported through the state's foster care system? And I also click no. And I left food stamps clicked because as an individual that's receiving food stamps, you qualify for the WIOA program, and your information can be easily accessed from the Department of Social Services based on the time frame that was described above within that 6-month time frame. So I'm going to click now to finish. Okay, so I've now successfully completed the CTHIRE registration. So as a customer, now the system is asking me, what would you like to do next? So that this is the part when I explain to you that there's an array of services that's offered underneath CTHIRE, the American Job Center, Department of Labor, as well as our Fund of the Workplace. So if you take a look here below, there's job searching, resume building, and look at there, everybody, the WIOA pre-application. It will be the very next page after you click. So this video will end right after I click WIOA pre-application, and the next video that's going to pick up right after you start. When you begin the pre-application, it's going to be on your desktop. Once you create your CTI registration, you're going to come into your own dashboard that's going to welcome you with your name at the top. And if you are seeking the WIOA pre-application, if you scroll down mid-page, you're going to see WIOA pre-application. And once you click on that, then you're going to hear the second section of my video, which will be walking you through the pre-application process. So I am going to now scroll down here. It's also giving me other information for career services, assistance centers, job seekers. There are so much services provided on the CTHIRES, and we're truly here for you folks. We haven't gone anywhere, and we're going to find a way to continue to provide the services that you love. So when I click on the WIOA pre-application, I am now starting on the WIOA pre-application page, which will be the very next video after you leave me here. Okay, this is Danielle Turner. I'm the Vice President of One-Stop Operations for the Southwest region. I oversee the Bridgeport, Stanford, as well as Ansonia and Derby, which is our Valley offices. If you have any questions about the WIOA program, the CTI registration, the CTI pre-application process, please feel free to give me a call. My number is 203-953-3268. I can also be reached at Turner, Turner, at careerresources.org. Okay, so you have a wonderful afternoon, and we hope to see you soon. God bless and stay safe.